this book started with this incident. 2 years ago, I was coming down the mountain with my two teenagers. Yeah, and we were all tired. We were covered in mud. And then I cheerfully said, let's write a poem. Right? And so then Finn was quiet. And then after a while, he made this poem. On Supic's slopes, I stared and stared. A challenge waits beyond compare. The mountain's call, I must obey. I think it's the mother's call. I start the climb, come what may. When I read that, I thought, wow, I have a poet at home I never knew. And then he deeply smiled. Chat GPT. So this poem was perfect. It was polished. And yet not a single word is from him. It's also soulless. And this is Sophie's poem. The cool air from the claim reminding me of the clouds we walked through on the mountain. The little white roof from the base camp reminding me of the tedious distance we have to walk. You know, the title mark in me was cringing with every spelling mistake, grammar mistake, punctuation mistake. But within this messy work, I could also hear Sophie. I could feel the cool air, right? I could feel the distance that she was going to walk, right? It was authentic and alive in her voice. Yeah, it's so, I asked Finn, so you really don't need to think, huh? Then he laughed again. And so with 1% effort, just putting in the prompt, he got 100% output and 0% from him. And that led me to wonder, what happens? In the industrial age, we can outsource labor, right? But in this AI age, do we want to outsource our thinking? Led me to wonder at this, to research into this. And as in the days where we think to generate answers, but now AI tools can generate answers much faster, much more fluently. So the question is, what is thinking for? What's our thinking for? How do we need to evolve our thinking? And this question became more urgent as more and more studies came up. A Lancet study shows that the doctors lose 20% of their accuracy within months of using AI tools. 20%. What about us? How are we going to protect our skills? And skills erosion happens quietly. Another MIT study shows that put people through the brain scanners and show that the people using AI tools have the lowest brain engagement. Remember, imagine our team members having low brain engagement, and we'll still imagine our kids having low brain engagement. Yeah, so as I started to do the research, people talk about losing patience. I'm not so patient now. I expect things to be fast, right? And also losing confidence in ourselves, putting more trust in AI tools than in our own judgment. Yeah, so each time we outsource, our own capability weakens. So that is led me to think, if we continue on this, what could happen? Perhaps it's not AI that makes us irrelevant. It's probably we ourselves. We make ourselves irrelevant with the way we use these tools. So I went to think about this and this crisis in identity, in how we see ourselves. Right? What's uniquely human? In Flame Center, we focus on uniquely human capabilities because that's what we're passionate about, but that's also what differentiates us from machines, right? What makes us human? The thinking skills, the people skills, and these are all skills that we cultivate over our lifetime, right? So it led me to wonder, if we were to lose this, what happens? So, of course, I'm very concerned and I don't want us or the kids to go down this track. But let's pause for a moment. Can I invite you to look right, look left, eyeball a partner and give me a high five or high 10. Yeah, everybody has a partner without eat trees. Yeah. Yes. So you have this little cue cards. So this came from our research on the pitfalls, the AI pitfalls. What are the pitfalls? Uh, yeah, so there are eight of these pitfalls. I want you to talk to your partner, right? Which is the one that is most familiar to you? 1 minute per person. All right. I interviewed expert AI users. So Vitek is one of the people I interviewed. And thank you, thank you. Yes, and from that process, I pulled out as a psychologist. I pulled out the thinking process, and that's what's really fun and stimulating for me when I see patterns, right? And I see that there is something emerging, right? And I really enjoy that process. And then in our workshops, we then tested this thinking framework, and we looked at the check histories. We analyzed more than 100 check histories and look where are the people strong in, where the people weaker in. And with that, we noticed that this is something really, really interesting. Same task, same tools, but very different outcomes. There are these two groups of people. One of them, they will see just one prompt, 28 pages of outputs. Look how fluent it is. Wow, that's like, is that common? We see that on all these like YouTube videos a lot. And and then with these 28 pages of outputs, and what happens? We can't quite we can't quite defend it. We don't understand the logic, how it came about, right? And then we iterate further, and then another 28 pages come out, and from there we drift. We drift into dependency. And here is the other alternative. Stay in the driver's seat. So this is what I also noticed. Their prompts are actually very efficient. 5 pages, get to the output that you want. Right? And there's clarity in thinking. They stay on the driver's seat. They know what they're looking for. They think first before they prompt. Think first, prompt second. So there's some IT people that I work with, right? And the other way, they're just constantly prompting without thinking very much. And then they ask, why have they think so much? So the whole idea here, right, is the discipline, the habit of thinking, having a clarity. And then we use the tool as a way to augment us. Right? So I want to walk you through just a high overview of this thinking framework that came from all these research, looking at the patterns of how these expert AI users use AI. And yeah, I'll walk you through in an overview. And yeah, so in the workshops, we go through much more details with tools and use cases and practices so that they become second nature. Right? And I also want to share it through the lens of these three groups of people. What is Maya? Maya is a novice. You know, we're all concerned about novice. I'm concerned about my son and my niece at the back. How are they going to build expertise? Right? And one of them measure, am I really, really learning, or am I just getting better in quantity? And this is Alex, right? When AI does 80% of my work in seconds, what really is my value add? And a little bit like I think many of us here would be in the expert category. Yeah, and how do I stay relevant? Lastly, Sam. Sam's getting really frustrated. She's getting all these AI generated outputs from her team, right? And then when she asks them, she questions them. She knows some of them fumble and they can't quite give the reach. Now Kevin is laughing. Some of you are nodding your head. Yes, and so it's not just about the quality of work slipping. It's also how do I ensure the defensibility of the outputs when our outputs go to the board but goes to our customers, right? So through the lens of these three people, just key points around our big picturing. Later, I'll be giving you everybody a copy of the book where you can look into the chapters, right? So this is in chapter 3 on big picturing. So in the past, Maya, she used to use prompt frameworks, right? Prompt frameworks, fill in the prompts and then put it into the AI tools, and then all the outputs come up. And then she works with it. But now, before going into any AI tool, she asked herself, what am I really trying to achieve? So, for example, she reads her task is to come up with a learning plan, right? And then she asks, what is the end objective to upskill her workforce, right? And so then she realizes as a novice, we don't know what we don't know. That's the word from learning agility. We don't know what we don't know. That's why we are trying to figure out, right? And so she uses AI as a tool to find out her blind spots. She puts second sight into the prompts. She also realizes in this process her assumptions. She thought that a learning plan equals training plan. We all know, right? Learning doesn't mean training. Yeah, and there's so many ways to learn, like workplace learning, mentoring. Yeah, so she realizes her assumptions and therefore she broadens her learning plan and she brings her big picture thinking into the work. Next is Alex. So in the past, yeah, thinking the real people that we work with, very smart people, scientists, trying to come up with a research proposal and feeling really frustrated with AI for all the gibberish and the hallucinations or the generic outputs. And he even swears and curses it out. How do you do that?
Yes, who is Becca?
Oh, and it's left right. Right, there's a relationship going on. Right. So what he does is he thinks about what are the building blocks. If what I want to get to is the strategy, right? And so he tells AI that I want to partner with you to develop the strategy. These are the four steps. Number one, identify the external opportunities and threats. Number two, assess my internal strengths and weaknesses. Right. Number three, develop strategic options. Number four, identify one or two against these criteria, right? And importantly, wait for my approval. So so instead of like zoom, like a slide, he breaks it down into steps. And in each of his steps, he is that has the opportunity to add his inputs, his insights to it. Right? So that's his routing process. And surprisingly, many people cannot articulate this route, this process, this step-by-step approach, even though we probably know it intuitively. That we probably do it already, but we just can't articulate it to then put the process into the tool. And we all know about analyzing outputs. We all know about critical thinking. Like we think that thinking with AI equals critical thinking. The research shows that it's way more than critical thinking because if we only limit to that, then we only limit ourselves to checkers of AI work. Yeah, but it's much broader. And so this is where the interesting thing is work slog is a term that is that came from a HBR article, right? About very fluent sounding words, but meaning very little. Yeah. And she tells the team, you need to be the gatekeeper. Is it clear? Is it logical? Is it evidence based? Right? Will it survive the pushback? Right? So that's about the analyzing outputs. And be really able to go beyond the fluency to a hyper attention to give it just words that will change the meaning of the entire paragraph. Yeah, so that's about analyzing outputs. And these are really intuitively. So for Alex, he has the strategy and then he begins to think something is not right. Yeah. And the most high shot, something is not right, but the boss is chasing already. Yeah. So we are also like hurry. So instead of pausing, we just we ignore the hunch, the little whispers. And so often what Alex does is he shuts his laptop, goes for right instead, and creates space for clarity to emerge. And with that clarity, he comes back. He adjusts the timelines and he realizes something important is missing. And so he makes it his own, his own strategy. Yeah, so in that process, that's about intuition. And intuition was really, really tough because we have spent a good amount of our lifetime. A leader says, I spent like 20 years in my career doing all the heavy lifting analytical work, right, in all this analysis. And now AI is doing that. So he learns that maybe this is a time that he needs to tap into his intuition, that hunch, that whisper. But what that requires is trusting ourselves. Lastly, for Seth, in terms of nurturing thinking, yeah, so she realizes that when she is getting an output from her team, right, it's not just about taking it, it's helping people see their own making process. So she will ask her team, walk me through your thinking process. Why do you choose A over B? Right? And are you leading AI or is AI leading you? So in this, what she's doing is this AI is thinking and we are thinking and we're interacting at this level, right? And what she's doing by through these questions is to pull ourselves out to observe this thinking at this level. So that in this observation, there's like the meta thinking to observe and to able to sense how has our thinking shifted? What are our strengths and gaps in our thinking? Yeah, and from there, what are we learning? This is the part where I really think that young people need to be very, very booky because you don't have expertise. You're starting with you're learning, right? So this is the part where if we were good in this observing our own thinking is where we can mine the goal, right? And learning and to really leverage AI as a learning tool. So this is the brain framework, BRAIN. And as we like to say in Singlish, please use your use your brain. Yeah, use your brain. Yeah, so and what Maya does is she does know how to learn, right? How to use AI as a learning tool, how to build her expertise. Actually, with AI tools, young people can learn really fast, right? Don't even need to attend lessons, just they can learn really fast if they know how to, right? So learning how to learn with these AI tools and building her own expertise. And for Alex, instead of competing with AI tools, he learns how to use it to augment. 20 years of experience is not something the AI can just erase off. Finally, Sam. Sam is what she does skills. It's not just about individual, but also in a team, thinking teams, thinking cultures, thinking organization, where she then helps to lift the thinking of her department, of her team, so that it doesn't unintentionally drift down towards, dependency. So with these three, what they have managed to do is thinking teams collaborating with AI. So the mountain, Fitz's hire was perfect. It was polished, right? And yet not a word was from Yi. And Sophie's she struggled with it, right? She really tried to think about the words. It's not perfect, but she kept her thinking muscle warm. So the question is not about whether we're going to use AI or not. Why? Of course, we're going to use AI. The question is, when we're using AI, are you the driver or the drifter? Yeah, because there will come the time when Finn will be faced in a situation that requires his judgment, that requires his presence, right? That requires him to really think hard, because in those situations, AI will be silent. The AI doesn't love what he loves, doesn't fear what he fears, and doesn't lift the weight of his life. And this is where Sophie's messiness will come in and be. So, in this, what if we, as humans, right, we stay on the driver's seat, we take care of what's important and meaningful, the deep, the creative, and we leverage AI as a vehicle with all its compute power and data to take care of what's the tedious and the complex, right? And to do it quickly. So if we're able to do that, we really leverage whole intelligence. For the first time in our lifetime, we have access to such powerful tools. I wouldn't be able to finish the book in like a few months without it if like it was like 2 years ago, right? So we can accomplish a lot more with this core intelligence. We us in the driver's seat and AI in that's the vehicle, right? And it's also the first time in our lifetime that this is like bringing it up bigger. The first time in our lifetime that the world order is changing. We see the politics, we see the fragmentation, we also see the job markets churning. We also see we're worried about our young people, we're worried about middle-aged people, we're worried about everything, right? So it's also this moment that maybe we can use this intelligence, co-intelligence, to work with us to meet the world's toughest problems. Because AI can make us faster. Yeah, but it is this collective intelligence that will make us wiser. Collective intelligence, our human collective intelligence, right? Because it's this that we want to create a future. We want to make sure that the future that we are creating lands us on the right side, bringing our young people, bringing our middle-aged people, bringing our people along, right, towards something that we really want for ourselves and for the next generations. So imagine working with leaders, equipping them and supporting them to build thinking teams. Right? Also imagine us working with our experts, right? Enabling them, emboldening them, not for having them feel afraid and be scared. And also nurturing our next generation, right? So that they learn to think with AI and to build that human thinking capabilities. And in that process, they learn our human judgment and not our shortcuts. Yeah, so the next time, tonight, tomorrow, when you are the machine again, I want to invite you to think first, to think further, and to think together. Thank you. Thank you.